Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burr Network. I am your host, RM, and we have with us today Darth Plato. Darth Plato, how are you?
Good afternoon. I'm well. Thank you for asking. And how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Guys, we're going to be doing a live watch party of Pearl Harbor. It is a film that came out quite a long time ago. I don't really know much about the film, but Darth Plato and I wanted to watch something, obviously, that had a theme where we do get to see service members because we are leading into the Memorial Day weekend, everybody. And as you know, Darth Plato, who is our official historian here at the Burr Network, is kind enough to join me here to watch this film. I thought it was important for us to continue to watch movies that have historical significance. Darth Plato, what do you know about this film before we get started?
Well, I know that it was nominated for three Oscars. I don't know if they actually won anything. It was in 2001, I believe this movie came out. I did see it in the theater. The funny thing about when I saw it in the theater is the film actually broke during the battle scene.
Oh my
So, e-
gosh.
so everybody had to leave the theater.
Oh no, that must have been terrible.
And people were joking, like, oh, the Japanese hit the projector.
Okay.
Because it was during the battle scene.
Wow, that is terrible that that happened while you're right in the middle of watching a film, especially something that has so much of a significant part of the story. And of course, this Pearl Harbor film was made in 2001.
Right.
Um, and of course, it's supposed to be depicting or reenacting dramatization version of the attack on Pearl Harbor, which
Mhm.
obviously was one of the many factors or one of the main factor that catapulted the United States into World War II. But this particular film um, really was something that got a lot of attention when it came out,
Oh yeah.
Darth Plato. And I remember seeing the advertisements for it. They spent a ton of money advertising it. It's obviously there's
Yeah, it
a romance involved in it.
was
And
hugely expensive.
what were you going to say?
It's hugely expensive to make, I think.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, it says it cost um, $140 million, which 20 years ago, that was like so much money.
Yeah, 20 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that was just like an exorbitant amount of money. I could understand that it would cost more to make it because it is a period piece and some of the effects and things might cost more to create that look. And that's something, the film stars Ben Affleck. It's 20 years ago, so he looks like a child almost in this. Kate Beckinsale, Josh Hartnett, Cuba Gooding Jr., Tom
Yeah.
Sizemore, John Voight, Colm Flory, and Alec Baldwin. Um, and honestly, it also says that there's a focus on the lesser. I'm reading this from Wikipedia. That leads up to the attack, its aftermath, and the Doolittle raid. So, um, yeah. However, some of the things that I'm going to be focusing on are going to be different from what you might be focusing on, Darth Plato, which is fine because you are our official historian. So you're supposed to be letting us know where the accuracies and inaccuracies are in a film like this. For me, I'm going to be looking at the cinematography. Does it
Hmm.
visually look good? Stuff like that. But Darth Plato, you're going to be keeping things, letting us know not everything, but probably most of the stuff that's in there that is not quite up to par, might be misleading, or whatever you honestly want to say about the film. I'm going to be looking at it from a cinematography point of view, whether or not it looks good. Is it conveying the message it's supposed to be conveying? And things like that. So, incidentally, this film was criticized a lot. I remember when it came out for the production, but let's see how it looks. This is really the first time I was watching this film in its entirety. Um, so I'm really excited to see this film. I have my counter ready. I should have made it much smaller, but I have the big counter. It's going to be this huge counter. One of these days, guys, I'm going to get this counter so it shows, and the counter is tinier than we are versus the other way around. So Darth Plato and I are at the 10-second point. And Darth Plato, as you said, it looks like the sky is like a sky like this, a sunset or something. That's where we're starting from at the 10-second mark. This is a 3-hour film. So this one's a big one, guys. And Darth Plato and I are going to be commenting during the film. So please feel free to comment in the chat and let us know what you guys think about this film, different things that happened to you if you saw the film. And as I said, we wanted to do something that was that was appropriate for leading up to Memorial Day weekend. And this is it, Pearl Harbor. When I'm going to say start this, Darth Plato, I'm going to say start 3, 2, 1, go. Now, I've heard a lot of people comment about the soundtrack, Darth Plato. Do you know anything about it?
Comment about what?
About the soundtrack? Do you know anything about the soundtrack for this film?
Yeah, no, the soundtrack was okay. It didn't bother me. I wouldn't buy it.
Okay, so the soundtrack is let's see who did the soundtrack. It is Hans Zimmer. He did the score here, and it won in the category of best sound editing. That's not necessarily. I'm not quite sure whether that's for special effects sounds but so.
Yeah, I actually thought the music and the trailers for the movie were actually better than the movie.
Okay.
So they're in the plane now.
Yeah.
So they wanted to fly since they were just little kids.
Oh.
I'm guessing this is like Kansas or Missouri or something, maybe Nebraska.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm older, all right. Yeah, it's the sort of thing little kids say to each other. Well, I'm 3 months older than you.
Yeah, that's true.
I used to lay it on
Did
people
they
all the
start
time.
that plane themselves?
Yeah, they started that. Yeah, I'm not sure what year this is, but I don't think that plane existed at the time.
Oh my goodness.
Mm.
Oh, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it definitely looks
Yeah.
like a PTSD survivor.
Mhm. And guys, we are watching it. I'm watching it on Prime. I think Darth Plato is also watching it on Prime. You can see the counter next to us. Join us and watch along. Long
In
Island
1940 and
January.
most of 1941 wasn't a good time.
Mhm. Mitchell Field. Thank you so much, Tom Jr. Jackson. Tom says it is also available on the Max app for from HBO Max. And Mikey Leader as well. Thank you both, guys.
Yeah, hello everyone in the chat, and thank you, Tom Jr. Jackson, for moderating. That's Colonel Doolittle there.
It was totally reckless.
All right, so this would have been right about September, I guess August, September 1940. 1940.
Okay, so it's before the attack on Pearl Harbor,
Mhm.
obviously.
Yeah, because they're talking about the Battle of Britain. That was right about September, August, September, October of 1940.
He's got to go. He's got to go on this thing. It's almost as if, fate is stepping in and he has to do something extraordinary, which really he is doing extraordinary by flying those planes, but
Yeah, for sure. Volunteering to fight the Battle of Britain, for sure. They really had the odds against them.
yeah. Oh dear. Was their attitude about this, truthful here, the sentiment towards the United States joining the war at this point?
Maybe. It's really up to the individual. There were volunteers that went all over. There were volunteer flyers in China. There were volunteer flyers in the Civil War in Spain. Very likely. So right about this time, the U.S. Pacific Fleet was being relocated from San Diego to Hawaii. There's a reason why that is. I don't think that's where they put the shot.
I think it was in the arm, right?
For yellow fever shot, you got that in the arm. But I think
Artistic license.
I think it was just for the laughs. Like the nurses are sticking them in the butt. Michael Bay's sense of humor.
Yeah. I wonder why he thinks he's going to fail.
Probably his eyesight.
Hmm. Yep, you called it. I want to say hi to everybody here. I haven't been doing that. Venice Beach Sports Network says the airplane stuff in this movie is genuinely great. Of course, Tom Jr. Jackson here as well. Darth Plato, obviously. Mikey Lito is how is everybody? Thomas Bartoldi, good to see you as well, Thomas. Hope you are doing great. Dario Jovicic, I'm saying that wrong, but Dario, welcome. Says hello to the Netherlands. Yes, I do streams from TVs and movie myself. Well, welcome, Dario. And Daniel Barry Sports Highlights says, sup. I can't help myself. Comic Doctor is here. Hi. Who else is here? Kick. Hey, Kick, how are you today? And Linwood Kent says, USA, USA. Yes. Irene is here. Hi, Irene. And hello to everybody. I love this one. It says, hello, Burnett family. Hello, Kick, and welcome. We are all part of the PGS here together.
Yeah, it's good to see everybody.
Mm-hmm. I just love how she looks in this film. I think she
Was
looks
this
so.
before or after? Was this before or after Underworld?
I don't know. Probably before Underworld. Let's see. Let me take a look and just find out. Because I can't remember what. Although I've watched Underworld a million times, I should know. I don't have my full screen available. This was before Underworld. It was before Underworld.
Interesting.
Yeah, she did Underworld in 2003. I think she looks lovely in this.
Look at this guy BSing.
Even I'm laughing at this part. Now, this is totally out of character, but it's still very funny. I kind of like it. Now, Irene has an interesting comment. I watched this movie at 16th birthday party with the girls from my youth group. Just get me that Josh Barnett and I'll be happy. Well, Irene, I think you have the right idea.
No, he certainly has a go-getter attitude. I think nowadays they kind of frown on this sort of thing.
Yeah, true. Thomas Bertoldi says, I saw this most likely when it first came out, probably at some point because I don't recall when. Yeah, Thomas, it's 20 years ago, right, Thomas? Oh dear. Oh my gosh. Oh dear. I will let Brad have Monica Bellucci if I can have Joshy or Mark Ruffalo. Oh dear. Yeah, I'm like one of the girls listening to her on the train, Darth Plato. It's Irene and I are just like,
So where are you? Where are you now? He just fell over.
well, they were at the Air Force Base in Long Island, and now they must be in the hospital in New York or something, right, Darth Plato?
Yeah, I'm getting a little delay.
Okay.
Yeah, I just saw him fall over.
Yeah. Are you, and you're at 1742?
Right. So yeah, they're sitting together right now. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there was just a pause on my side.
Okay. Yeah, shaky hands. Hear me.
Yeah, that's the misconception. I think you're supposed to lean forward, not back.
First 18 minutes of this film, and that we already have kissing. I love it. Wow. And this is that scene that they were kind of getting down on in this movie because they're at the train station scene. But I
Yeah.
think it's cool. I like it.
There's a certain aesthetic to it that's actually kind of cool.
Oh my goodness gracious.
On the swing.
So Josh Barnett's character is really concerned and worried this whole time. Aw.
Yes, it's a true statement too. The even though they weren't at war, there was a common perception that it wouldn't be much longer before they did get into the war, because
Yeah.
there was a lot of buffing up of the armed forces.
He's really worried about what's going to happen. He's not really concerned about meeting anybody. I can see how he would be concerned. What is this oil thing they're doing?
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Does anybody know what this oil thing they're doing? Somebody in the chat under their eyes. Irene
Yeah.
says, I felt connected to the movie because my mom's dad was in the Navy during World War II. He wasn't at Pearl Harbor, but was sent to clean up after the bombing. Wow, Irene, that is an impressive story. Oh, it's to make them cry. The oil is to make them cry, Darth Plato. That's what it's
Okay.
for.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So yeah, this would have been about the time when the Navy relocated the Pacific Fleet to Hawaii. So what was
Mhm.
going on at that time? What was going on the years prior to that was right about 1935. There was a diplomatic uh, a front made with Tokyo that between London and DC, and they informed Tokyo in no uncertain terms that if they tried to make any move in the South China Sea or the areas in and around the Straits of Malacca, that Britain and the United States would join forces and push them out again. So the Japanese were very divided about how they were going to respond to this. There was a northern strategy, a southern strategy. Some wanted to concentrate on expanding their power in the north, that being China and Korea and possibly even Russia. There was some disagreement about that. The other wanted to move further south, but the fear was antagonizing Britain and America. Now, the closer you get to 1939, the more the British were drawing down their forces because of what was going on in Europe with Hitler. So Tokyo saw London as less of a threat, though there was really just the United States to worry about from their concern. So by the time 1940 rolled around, the 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 mission between DC and London to join forces in the eventuality of an advance by Tokyo really sort of fell by the wayside. So FDR decided to shift the Pacific Fleet from San Diego to Hawaii as a way to signal to the Japanese that we're serious about intervention in East Asia if you try to make a move in that area, which may or may not have been a bluff. And there's disagreement about that. So that is why you see this beefing up of personnel in Hawaii.
Excellent. And Tom Junior Jackson says, I used to have a director's cut of this. Wish I still had it. Came with some pretty cool postcards and a booklet. And thank you, Tom. Yeah, it took me a little while to figure it out, Tom. It takes me a little while.
I remember that.
Yeah. And Irene's like, yeah, they want to price like late. Yes. I'm so sorry. The comments, are just reading some of them. And Thomas Bartoldi is still working on his book. Thomas, thank you. Saying that he's writing out things about alien gods and using them as ways of slang, both threatening and sexual. Plenty of kissing and a male character fighting with no pants. And Mike Alito says, fabulous Long Beach, California. Irene, I saw this movie a bazillion years ago. I don't remember everything in it. I probably saw it, most of the film, when it came out, and that was over 20 years ago. So I don't remember all the details. How about you, Irene? When was the last time you might have seen this? Hey, and Maria Espino is here, guys. Remember, she has an incredible stream coming up tonight on her channel after the sequel. So make sure you guys check that out tonight. Wow, he's in love with her already. This is great. 27 minutes, Darth Plato. We hear the word, I love you. This is, woo. Irene, you watched it last year? Okay. Now, he's not going to go into the room with her. This is so sweet. I'm even, this is incredible. I'm loving this. This is so sweet. Darth Plato, come on, Darth Plato. This is the sweetest thing you've ever seen.
It has a certain vibe with Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to push a romance story into a historical event.
And Michael Alito says, I planned seeing The Little Mermaid today, but I stayed up all night, yo. So I postponed it till tomorrow. Well, Mikey Alito, I sure hope you staying up all night was a fun time.
Hey, Mikey.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for dropping by, Maria Espino. Mike Alito says, I love Jennifer Gardner. Aww.
Okay.
Hey, Stavros. It's a count up clock, so it's going to keep getting, the number is going to keep increasing, Stavros. And good to see you, Stavros. So right now, only one of the leading men in the story is going overseas right now. And yes, Irene, XOXOXO. And Mike Alito says, it's so much jive.
Honestly,
You
I'm
guys,
wondering why do they even need Josh Hartnett's character in this movie?
I don't know. Let's see what happens as to why he's there. I mean, oh yeah, this is the part that they weren't nice about because like they commented on this and they were saying, "Oh, it's so corny that she's on the platform, I guess, and she can't hear him."
Hmm.
Whew, I felt that. I don't know if you guys felt it. I loved it. Guys, remember tonight on after the sequels at Maria Espino's channel at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. She's going to be doing her live stream about her fantastic new animated Star Wars film. Guys, you don't want to miss it tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, guys. At After the Sequels. The link is in the chat, everybody.
Yeah, so the newsreel footage that they're showing, people in those days, they saw newsreel footage at the movie theater. So they showed the newsreel footage either before, after, or during the intermission of the movie. So the movie business really boomed because people went not just to see the movie because they wanted to see the footage of the war.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have television in those days. Yanks. Oh, you're gonna get your share.
Wow. Yeah, sorry, Stavros, you have to fast forward. Sorry, but you got to go back and watch all the romance parts, Stavros.
I seriously doubt they would have showed him the plane while it was in that condition.
I agree.
And John Voight.
Was it too much to have the plane look like that in this film, Darth Plato?
Probably. I wouldn't have did it. I thought it was overly dramatic.
Irene says, "Why do they need my Joshi?" I have no idea. They already took Ben from us, Irene. Let's see what happens, my dear. That's just good. And Stavros says that the train camera shots were great. Thank you, Stavros.
All right.
What do you think
So
about this
now that
part?
so now what they've done is they fast forwarded to October 1941
Okay.
because that's Tojo sitting at the table, and he came to power right about mid October 1941. So that has to be that day. So I'm guessing that's supposed to be Yamamoto who's speaking.
We will annihilate their Pacific Fleet in one attack at Pearl Harbor.
Right. Yeah, that's a bit overly stating it. The goal wasn't to destroy the fleet. The goal was to delay its deployment.
And was there, and this is kind of a loaded question, was there any suspicion that the Pearl Harbor was going to be attacked at this point?
No. not really, because it's too far away. It's 4,000 miles. The further you go on an expedition, the less likely it is to succeed. That's just a general rule of thumb. It's called friction. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
Thomas, we're told he says something about a French campaign.
What?
A French campaign.
I'm not sure what he means.
I don't either. Thomas, can you elaborate on that? Guys, I'm eating lentils that I made. I made
The
lentils and I was eating some of it. I gave it to
Oh,
my mom.
champagne.
I should have tasted it before, but I didn't get a chance to. They were too hot and I had to wait for it to cool off. So they're cooler now and I was just eating it. So Irene, it's lentils and they came out great.
All right. So, like I said before, there was some disagreement with the Japanese about whether they wanted to focus on a northern strategy or a southern strategy. Now, there was a serious exchange of fire between the Soviets and the Japanese right around 1938, 1939, and
Hmm.
that did dissuade them from moving in that direction altogether. So it was right about 1940 that they really started to think seriously about moving in the south, which meant putting them at war with Britain and America. So now Tojo comes to power and he's pulling the trigger. Okay, we need to make a move. How are we going to do this? So Yamamoto is saying, well, if you make a move, then the U.S. will just move out of Pearl Harbor, as I said before, the diplomatic protocol of 1935. That if you make a move in this area, the U.S. will intervene, which may or may not have been a bluff. Yamamoto didn't think it was a bluff, which is why he is proposing to move on Pearl to delay the deployment of the fleet long enough for the rest of the Japanese armed forces to make their move in the southern resources area. That is the Dutch area, the British areas, and the Philippines. So that would
Thank you
include
for
Guam as well.
Thank you for telling us that, Darth Plato. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of machinations going on during this time period. It is full blown war, but the United States is just not officially declared war, right, Darth Plato?
They are not declared, no, but they do have interests.
Yeah. And
So yeah, yeah, they moved on the Philippines, they moved on Guam, they moved on Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong. Yeah, they moved all over the place. When they moved on December 7th, December 8th, they attacked everybody. It wasn't just Pearl.
mm-hmm.
And part of the reason why the U.S. did not anticipate an attack on Pearl is because they did not believe that Japan had enough resources to mount a major offensive in multiple theaters. So when they saw that the Japanese were building up forces to invade the South, that is the areas I just mentioned, that sort of precluded the idea that they were going to move elsewhere. So that's why they sort of ruled out that Pearl would not likely to be attacked.
Interesting. Um, Thank you, Darth Plato. Tom Jr. Jackson says, I'll take Kate with a side of Jennifer Garner. I don't blame you, Tom Jr. Jackson. Excellent choice. Um, Thomas says, Pop the Champagne scene has brought back this film difference as I'm older and get it. Yeah, it's interesting watching films 20 years later, guys. Stavros says he still gets jitters when he sees these two names. Oh my gosh. Um, Thomas says he is kind of enjoying it more and good, more awesome writing inspiration. Guys, yes, whining is coming. Rampage Predacon, whining is coming back, guys. You know it's going to be wonderful. S Beam is here. Yes, Beam. Um, oh, lentil pasta. That sounds delicious. Tom Jr. Jackson, I'll put that on the list, guys. Um, Also want to say, let's see. Now Tom Jr. Jackson saying he wants to see an FDR film. Sure. And I did also want to say that so far at 39 minutes into this film, Darth Plato in the chat, I'm enjoying this film. Um, so, I know that there are some parts in it that might be questionable, but I'm
Sure.
enjoying the film. And it's, I guess, by no means a perfect film, but I'm enjoying this. I think they're doing a good job cinematically. I'm getting a feel of what they're supposed to be showing.
Um,
From a
um,
Hawaiian sightseeing plane, I was able to photograph Battleship Row and many air bases.
All right, so they're starting to show them plan the battle a really hard time here. Yamamoto gave serious thought to attacking Pearl as far as what it would look like in early 41, but that was more of a mental exercise. He didn't really give it serious planning thought until after Tojo asked him what he thought of it, what he thought that they should do, and then moving forward. I believe that's Genda there. Yeah, so Genda was one of the major planners for the attack. So they're putting that wooden thing on the torpedo. Yeah, yeah, that happened. This is accurate.
Okay.
The reason why they're doing that to do a torpedo is because the water in Pearl is very shallow. So if a plane dropped a torpedo, it would just go into the water and just hit the water, the ground underneath the water, the seafloor.
Okay.
So the wooden fins allows it to level up and go back to the surface and continue on its path to strike its target. That's why they're doing that to the torpedo. The downside to that is because the water is very shallow, they'll be able to save many of the sailors were able to be saved. So even though the death toll was around 2,400 men, it could have been a lot higher. If that had been deeper water, the death toll might have been heavier.
Thank you, Darth Plato.
So now they're going to show the battle with the Luftwaffe.
Well, what do you think about Ben Affleck's character? Well, obviously we know that did happen, that there were American soldiers who went over and flew. But what do you think of the portrayal here in this film? He talks about how this isn't what he was expecting when
Yeah.
he got there. Is this his real first fighting ever? I guess for this character, Darth
Yeah.
Plato, and would this be realistic with what he'd encounter?
I get the sense that he's already experienced up to this point.
Mm-hmm. And what do you make? I mean, these fighting scenes, and you can kind of see, the cliffs. It may be the Seven Sisters. I don't know where it is, but you can see these white cliffs, so where generally speaking we are. What do
Yeah,
you think
that
of
it
these
looks like Dover. Honestly, I don't know where it is, but it looks like Dover.
hmm and it is quite a dramatic background. Do you think the scenes are effective?
Well, sure. In terms of movie drama, it's very effective. Whether it's realistic or not, I'm not a pilot. I don't know if if the movement of the plane is accurate. Planes were not that maneuverable in those days. I remember reading that somewhere. So movies will exaggerate the movements of the planes in old movies.
Oh my god. And Thomas Bartholdi talks about the suicide bombing was no joke. They were all balls and belief. Yeah. Matt the N Pod. Hello, Matt the N Pod says, sup, sup. Hi, Matt. Guys, we are watching the 2001 production of Pearl Harbor. We're leading into Memorial Day weekend, and we wanted to watch a film that featured members of the military. Oh dear.
Yeah, he's in the water. We're about to be.
Stavros says this is one of his favorite sequences. Okay, Stavros.
I believe that's Dory Miller. Is that his name, Dory Miller? He-
Oh, is he smack talking him? He's doing smack talk on a guy who's like 3 times the size of him. Unbelievable. Yeah, Mikey Lito talks about watching Man of Steel just a couple of days ago, and Hans Zimmer is a musical genius. Yes, Mikey Lito, absolutely. Yeah, I forgot Thomas Bertoldi that Cuba Gooding Jr. was in this as well.
I don't know if he was a boxer or not, but he was there. He was the first black man to receive the Navy Cross.
Tom June Jackson's everybody's in this film. Yeah, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s performances are fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's the best in the movie.
Hmm.
Damn right.
Hello, hello, hello. Tom Jr. Jackson. Oh, I thought it was the other guy. Shoot. I know what he's there to tell her now. Darn it. Darn. Darth Plato, no.
Hmm?
I know what he's there to tell her.
Yeah.
No. That he's missing in action or something like that, Darth Plato?
Actually, black and white might not be such a bad idea. Maybe.
Yeah, I wonder if it could be turned into that. Maybe somebody has an app on their thing. Is he gone or is he missing in action? Do we know?
The plane went down. I don't know. It depends on how they write it up. If they at the very least he'd be MIA. But if they think that there's a reasonable chance that he's survived, I don't know.
And Mikey Lito says this is why it was important that they were separated. Thank you, Mikey Lito. And yeah, a black and white version of this, I'd watch it, Tom Jr. Jackson.
So as far as the pilots were concerned, his last radio message was he had an oil leak. There's a fire in the cabin, and he went down into the sea. So it's reasonable to think that they would write him off as KIA. So yeah, they probably did report him as dead.
And thank you for the 10 of you who are 16, excuse me, the 16 of you who are watching right now. Certainly such an interesting film. Um, yeah, Pearl Harbor from 2001. I think the performances so far have been so good, Darth Plato.
It's a better movie than people give credit for. I still enjoy roasting it though.
Absolutely, Linwood Kent. Let's remember why to remember Memorial Day. It's because of the sacrifices of service men and women. Um, that is why we remember Memorial Day, to
Yeah, that's
remember
on.
those who are fallen.
That's honor and service.
Mhm. And that's exactly why we chose this film. This is making it sound like he's gone, Darth Plato.
Yeah.
I can't. Oh, it says it does say that he was killed. I can't. I'm sorry. Okay, Mikey Lito is kind of pointing out something, and I'm sure you remember Mikey Lito when it first came out. The movie gets a lot of criticism because it's essentially a melodrama. It is a dramatization. It is. Set up teams
Yeah.
of radio operators to send out messages the Americans will intercept.
Hmm?
Concerning every, I can't read the whole thing. Include Hawaii and the clutter will be more confusing that way. Brilliant admiral. This is the when they're planning the attack. A brilliant man would find a way not to fight a war. Ooh, that is
Yeah.
certainly a
Well, yeah. There's a bit of Sun Tzu there.
yes. Okay, now here's the Dan Aykroyd point you were talking about. Was it you, Tom, Junior Jackson? Yeah, Thomas, if you haven't seen this film in 20 years, it's like watching it for the first time because it's so, you're going to have a different perception of the film. Um, yeah, and the N pod, I Matt, is it Matt or the N pod at Matt? Hello, says was of the time though, as you were saying, Darth Plato,
Yeah.
U571, Braveheart, Titanic to make, but a few were all fairy tales. Kind of allow it. Yeah, at that time there was a push for things like this.
Yeah. It does have a feel for Titanic. He's trying to Michael Bay trying to recreate Titanic.
Now this is 3 years later. Excuse me, 3 years, 3 months later. Pardon me. And this must be in December, right? Darth
Well,
is
yeah.
October.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah. They're off by their times a little bit.
Yeah, because 3 months would be like January, but it's okay. It's okay. I think
It's
I'm
fine.
not criticizing it.
Yeah, these are the newsreel I was talking about, how they watch the news in the theaters.
Yes. Mikey Lito. Yep. Everybody's thinking it, but we're not saying it. And
I
guys,
think
we were
what he
just
meant to say.
go
I
ahead.
think what he meant to say was, huh.
And guys, we were just about an hour into this 3 hour film, and that first hour went by fast.
He did.
Oh my
He did.
goodness. Oh, hell no. They didn't know what he was doing. I'm sorry.
Very likely not.
You want me to walk you to your door? It's gonna make sure you get home safe.
Yeah, he does seem to be pressing a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was funny, Stavros. That was the funniest proposal I've ever seen. Yeah, what are you doing, bro? It's almost like what, 10:30? You woke up the whole I love it. Be careful how you answer that door.
Well, they are on an army base. It's reasonably safe.
I know. I mean, the way that she had curlers in her hair, you don't want anybody to see you. Not properly polished. Is it fair game or is it too soon? Question.
Yes, you are. This is kind of feeling like a chick flick to me. I don't know. Like, Yeah.
oh, no, no, don't wait 2 years. You got to get married now, my dear. But she's underage. I guess that's why. Wait till you turn 18, but don't wait 2 years.
Yeah, everybody lied about their age in those days. It was really
Hmm.
easy to do.
Oh, they were so lucky. You could be 10 or 15 years younger in a minute. Lucky ladies. Or whatever age they needed you to be. Yeah, it has been that long,
Whoa.
huh, Tom? Washington, D.C. Naval Intelligence.
Yeah, this is kind of BS what they're saying here.
Right, Stavros says too soon.
Yeah, they know exactly where the Japanese fleet is. The problem they know that the Japanese are moving on the southern areas, the areas around the Philippines and British Malaysia, Singapore. They know that. What they don't know is the fleet in the north by the Kuril Island, the first what's called the first air fleet. As far as they knew, that fleet was in harbor. They were maintaining call signals at that location to simulate the appearance that they were still in harbor, and there was no reason to think that they were moving unless it was to reinforce the Philippines. So they didn't really have any reason to think that they would move on Hawaii because what were they going to do? You can't attack Hawaii with just aircraft carriers. You need massive amounts of ground troops for that, or at least that was the assumption at the time. Now, there's part of a modern bias because we live in the time that we live in. We don't really know what's going on in the past. Now, up to this point in time, aircraft carriers were not capital ships. They were classified as scouting vessels. So the idea of launching a large scale attack from a carrier was really an unknown thing. The first time it ever happened was actually in the Mediterranean, where the British were managed to launch an ad hoc raid against the Italian fleet at Taranto. And that's where Yamamoto got the idea for Pearl. The idea for Pearl, however, was much grander. This is a much larger operation than what the British mounted on against the Italians at Taranto. So this is a very novel thing that the Japanese are doing. This isn't textbook warfare. No one had any reason to think that the Japanese were going to launch this kind of an attack, or even if this kind of attack would even be successful. There were Japanese in the high command who were also very senior. General Sugiyama, who was the head of the army, was against this attack because he thought the whole thing was going to collapse and fail. He didn't think this could succeed at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because military people tend to be conservative. They stick to what works. They're very conventional. This is a very unconventional thing that is taking place. And Yamamoto was an unconventional guy. So that whole thing about naval intelligence, that was kind of just something they put into the movie. That's not how it would have played out for real.
Okay. Oh, is he taking her in the plane? Now they have the really pretty soundtrack as they go through the clouds in the air. Oh, come on. The plane. Danny's not playing fair. Is she sitting on his lap right now?
I didn't realize there were rules.
Well, they're awfully like tight in that cockpit.
Yes, that's kind of the point. There's a lot of angles to this attack.
Yes, yes, there are. Guys, we are at 1 hour, 2 minutes into Pearl Harbor 2001 and this romantic music. Thank you, Hans Zimmer, for
So
putting us.
the Japanese are not the only ones being aggressive here.
That's correct. Now, this reminds me of a film I saw where a girl had to hide on top of a balloon, an inflatable balloon, like a ballistic balloon, that's what they're called. She had to hide on top of one. And I'm not going to tell you what happened, but I guess maybe it's something very similar to what happens here. Yeah. So they're made out of silk, aren't they, Darth Plato? Sunset, what an eye gazer, Tom Jr. Jackson. Thank you, Tom. She wants to play with his fight stick. She really does. Uh, this is totally a chick flick. I think up to this point, Darth Leto, I'm calling it. The first hour of this film is total female desire. This whoever wrote this, thank you. Thank you for doing this. Well, it feels like they went from 0 to 80, but it is what it is. Your heart is pumping after a plane ride, right, guys? So, and this part feels like Top Gun for some odd reason. And I think one of you guys had said that before. Danny, the rebound guy. A kiss to rival Titanics, absolutely, Stavros.
I think that was the point.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I'm sure he's not sorry. I think she's not sorry, but she's embarrassed. You were great, Danny. You were the best. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm. She went all the way with him, but she wouldn't go. Oh, it was because Rafe wouldn't go all the way with her.
That's true.
Oh, I'm loving this. I am loving this. Uh-huh. Yeah, that doesn't feel truthful.
No.
I don't think she believed that. I love it. I just love it.
Yeah, there was extensive espionage prior to the attack. That's true.
Hmm.
The reason, yeah,
Yeah.
they're focusing on the battleships. Now, in those days, line of battle was how naval warfare was fought, not long range carrier strikes. So that's why they're focusing on the battleships. That's
Total
the,
chick flick. Come on, look at this.
yeah, yeah.
Even the hair strokes. Thank you, Randall Wallace, for writing this. The beach scene, hanging out in the car, on the plane, in the parachutes. My goodness gracious, you read our minds.
It's kind of like the Blue Lagoon almost.
Yeah, it does have that feeling. You certainly hit the nail on the head with that one, Dark Plato.
What was that other movie that the beach? Yeah.
Suitcase camera. I kind of like you. Really? Suitcase camera.
So they go from that scene. Now they're back to being serious again.
Yeah, maybe this is the criticism because it is kind of maybe it it kind of gave the wrong feeling to some people. I could see some people saying I'm not too fond of the romance part,
Yeah.
abutted against the military, war room parts.
Yeah, but what they're saying here in the war room is actually false. They were moving on into the south to the Philippines, Singapore, Malaya. That is what they were doing.
Mike
They just
Lito
they
has
just didn't think that they were also mounting a simultaneous attack on Hawaii. That's what they didn't know. They're making it sound like the Japanese were moving on Hawaii and nowhere else. That's the impression that they're giving you in the scene.
exactly. And Mike Lito has a question for you, saying, "Do you think it was the U.S. was kind of lackadaisical because Hawaii was a territory despite being a major military base?"
Um, Probably because the attack happened and the General Short and Admiral Kimmel were going to get nailed for it. So the commission certainly found them to be lackadaisical, which is why they were sacked as a territory despite being a major. Yeah, look, there was an alert issued from Hawaii to, excuse me, to Hawaii to be on guard against a possible attack. So they were certainly trying to cover all their bases. The fact of the matter is, as I said, no one really believed that the Japanese were going to sail 4,000 miles to launch a carrier strike against Hawaii because nothing like that had ever been done before.
So this is a record, like a groundbreaking event, in addition to
Yes.
being
Yeah,
incredibly
a
dramatic.
this is a watershed moment in the history of warfare. That modern warfare looks the way, at least naval warfare looks the way it does because of this attack. This is
Mm.
a watershed moment.
And thank you, Michaelito, for the question, and PM for, hey, how are you, my dear? Um, It's great to see you here. Hope you are well. I says, yikes, not sure I could get through this movie again. Yeah, it's not a light film, is it? But so glad you are here. Hope you are doing well today.
The reason why he's talking to a general there is because but prior to 1950, all U.S. military installations were under the jurisdiction of the Army,
Hmm.
regardless of whether they housed naval forces or not.
And you were the one who was telling me, or someone was telling me that I guess that it wasn't until during, I don't remember this war or whatever, that the Navy was officially formed, or all these different sections were not necessarily fully formed. Is that correct, Darth Plato? After this, then they suddenly had different divisions or something like that.
Yeah, it changed everything. Between 1940 and 1950, everything changed.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, after 1950, the Navy had their own. They managed their own properties. The Army Air Corps was separated and became the U.S. Air Force. At this time,
Okay,
there is no Air Force at this time. It's just the Army Air Corps. Yeah, it's all
right.
under the Army.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, everything was different in those days. I'm not sure what you mean by the FBI there. Uh-oh.
Because I think we all know what's supposed to happen in this story.
Yep.
I
It's
think we all
it's
know he's going to be coming
it's it's Batman.
back. That's right. Welcome back. I'm glad
So
he
he was
survived at least.
yes, so yeah, he was gone for what? How long now?
Yeah, like 3 or 4 months, right?
So he probably got shot down somewhere around August, September the previous year, and this is now December of 41. So yeah, he was gone for more than 16 months, 15, 16 months, give or take.
And Michael Leader says, the melodramatic moment. Absolutely. Hey, Paul in Long Beach. There's been a lot of criticism of this film. First of all, hi, Paul in Long Beach. How are you?
Yes, yeah, yes.
Good to see
There's a lot of criticism.
Says, bless you, fine folks. Bless you, Paul in Long Beach. I hope you're well. I hope you enjoy this holiday weekend.
Well,
Says,
you're not entirely wrong, Paul. But for me, it's kind of a roast for me. I like criticizing it.
yeah, and I can see how it would be criticized. Paul in Long Beach, I'm noticing something about this film is that it's 100% a chick flick to me. So far, a lot of it is a lot of things that I, as a woman, love seeing in films. Um, is it right for this film? I have no idea.
Okay,
But what
Michael. Okay.
I'm just was saying that I just think it's very interesting. Go ahead, Darth Leto.
I think Michael Bay intended this to be his Titanic, except it wasn't the Titanic he thought it would be.
Interesting.
It really was his Titanic.
Hmm. And we also have Mario Lopez. Hey, Mario Lopez, how are you? Hope you are well. Mario Lopez saying hi, going to sleep. And yes, I love the Pearl Harbor movie. Okay, and you love the film. Interesting. Um,
I don't hate this movie. I just like roasting it.
I think it's okay to there is some things to be said about this film. I think it is steamy. It's a little steamy, as Mike Alito says, conflict in the skies and conflict on the ground. You certainly hit that. I couldn't describe it any other way. Hey, thank you, Irene. It's not just me, right, Irene? I mean, she just made love to one guy, and she might be making love to this guy. And then maybe even no, I'm just going to stop myself right there. But I can see the criticism here. This is pure female fantasy, which is, I'm going to be honest about it. I didn't know this film was like this. Yes, Mario, we so appreciate you and you enjoy your day. I hope you and your mom are well. Yeah, I can see people saying this, Paul in
Yep,
Long Beach, especially
that's
coming
exactly
out
right.
after the Titanic. Yeah, I could see that.
Yep,
Um,
that's exactly what it
how,
is. That's exactly what it is.
however, if I went to the movies with a guy to see this, I'd be very happy. Um, oh, did it have to happen now?
Yep, it did.
Now
It
he's
has
figuring this is the Robert De Niro Scarface
they
moment.
have a schedule
Darth Plato, why? Why did it have to be right there?
because it's in the script.
This isn't cool. Stay away. It's not like he caught the other guy's hand down her shirt or something. Come on, bro. You would still love her. It didn't work like that. You would still love this woman. I'm sorry. See, this is what it's gone in a completely different direction. Uh Rafe, wait. You had to see it. Thank you, Mikeulito. Thank you for putting that into print. We're at 1 hour and 17 minutes. It's got a very different feel to what I was thinking. And just when he thought his day couldn't get any worse, guys. Oh, Irene had some delicious Chinese food. That sounds wonderful. Hunan beef, pork, fried rice, crab rangoon, and sweet and sour chicken without the sauce. I can't do it anymore. It's yeah, dear, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of silly scene.
That was not a good interaction in the script.
No,
So I have to say that that might be realistic how it
where
happened.
he's actually kind of right though, because if we just saw it, Danny was being pretty aggressive. I mean, this isn't as innocent as Danny's making it out to be.
Danny's like a young buck who was like, as soon as his friend was out of the way, this is why I was saying, was it too soon or the right time? That's why, yeah.
So V.
See, it's turning into this very odd. They made movies like this in the 1950s with Deborah Carr, and she was kind of a woman who was with somebody, and then she had another guy, and it was considered very scandalous. It was considered very scandalous at the time. My question is what she's done very scandalous for the time period? Yes, it is. It would be considered a little.
Mm, I don't think so because no, I don't think so because a they weren't married first of all, and second, I believe he was declared KIA.
But that's the scandalous part, is that they're not married at that time period. Like, she's not supposed to be doing that in
Yeah,
1940.
well, sure, but the fact of the matter, people did do that sort of thing. I mean,
It is very true. Yes, a lot
it's
of them
it's the rule, but people understood. Yeah, that's the rule, but come on, they're it, you know.
did. Oh my god. Oh my god. Whew.
Boom. Now it is a watch party.
Wait a minute. Are you spoiling this for me, Irene? Irene, this is. Are you? this happening to her. Does something like this happen? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Man,
That's a fair point.
I might have to get
That
I
but
might
that
have to get
that's a
some
different
Crown.
angle though.
I'm getting some Crown Royal. I got to
And
drink some
that and
Crown Royal. Uh, hello, Robert Collin. Hi. Welcome to the Burnett Work. I think this film is unfairly lambasted. In a vacuum, it's fine. The major issue it has is it's not accurate enough for
mm,
the World War II scholars expecting Saving Private Ryan and getting Casablanca. Good point, and thank you so much, Robert Collin, for stopping by and sharing that. We do value your opinion here. Yeah, I could see people like Darth Vader. This makes total sense. The issues with it, and you know,
well, look, I understand they're trying to take a complicated historical event and simplifying it for a viewing audience, and I understand what they're doing. And that's fine. But I'm gonna roast it till all the same.
absolutely.
I,
Mikey Lito says, and now the planes, the guns, the death. Let's put it all in perspective. And Irene
the
says,
problem with the movie is they're trying to show three movies at once. They're trying to show the historical event. They're trying to cram in Titanic, and then they showed the Doolittle raid after that. They didn't need to do that.
I agree. They could have just had the romance, and I still would have watched it. You know that? I would have watched it, and I would have enjoyed the chick flick element of it. But I also would have liked to have seen the more, like this part that they're showing where we're seeing military action and how serious it is. And they decided to put some very traditional looking style military action things in it.
Yeah, what they're doing there with the headband, that's what the kamikazes did.
Tom, I didn't know that's what was happening, so I apologize, Tom. I don't remember that part. Was she throwing it? Um, Irene says it's more of a Titanic
Yeah,
like movie.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. Also,
Oh,
look, the
interesting.
planes are green. The Yeah, the Japanese planes for the Navy were silver. The Army had green planes. So these planes should be silver.
And Robert Collins says, yeah, the most recent Midway did the same thing by trying to show too much. Interesting. That's a good point, Robert.
Yep. Well, Midway had its issues too, but I thought that was a better movie, a better war movie.
I saw a
So I guess
movie
this is the
recently.
iceberg moment. This is the iceberg moment.
Say that again, Darth Plato?
Hmm?
What
This
was
is the
that?
this is the iceberg moment.
Okay, explain that to me because I don't know what that is.
Well, in Titanic, for me, the movie
Oh,
starts when the
I
boat hits
understand.
the iceberg. So I just sort of skip the movie and I just watch the movie from the point where the iceberg hits the ship. For me, that's when the movie starts.
So, guys, you could presumably fast forward all the hot and steamy moments up to 1 hour and 24 minutes. And the tone of the film has completely changed.
Yep.
This is completely different film right
Yep.
now. Yeah, Irene, my mother's seen that too. She watches Turner Classics. We've seen a lot of films like that. And Robert Collins is correct. And good catch. IJA was green. Keto Butai was silver and white. Thank you, Robert Collin, again.
Yeah, the U.S. knew that an attack was about to happen.
But the tone does feel very different, doesn't it? All of a sudden, this film does not have the romantic stream it had a few minutes ago. It doesn't feel romantic
Right.
anymore.
Well, yeah, the guy with sure the guy with the violin was thrown overboard, and now you got the war drums.
Yeah, here we go, guys. Here we go. And Tom J. Jackson says he liked Midway. He has it on Blu-ray. And guys, thank you so much for being here today. We are watching Pearl Harbor, the 2001 version. We're about halfway through the film. Um, thanks so much for
I
joining
tell you what,
us.
that would have been an amazing sight.
And Robert Collins says the next 20 minutes is arguably the best this film has to offer. I do like these aerial scenes, these aerial shots. What do you think, Darth Plato?
Mixed opinion. At the moment, it looks fine. Yeah, that's pretty dramatic there with the clothesline.
Yeah.
And by the way, Yamamoto was not present with the fleet. He stayed in Japan. The attack was carried out by an Admiral Nagumo.
Thank you, Mikey Lito.
Are they? Yeah. So this is actually before 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm. About the only film that I could honestly say that I learned a lot that I was unaware of recently, let's say war style film, was Greyhound.
You can also assume that the Navy would be flying planes. The Army had more planes than the Navy did.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the torpedoes there, so it's not hitting the bottom. It's coming right back to the surface.
That's unbelievable. I knew nothing. I knew nothing about this. And Tom Jr. Jackson talks about how he says he knows that this movie had the full support of the military. Oh my gosh. He remembered seeing it in the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Irene says two tragic events in history, twisted and sordid romance and devastated outcomes.
Hmm? Yeah, he's looking at the end of his career right there.
Irene says that
I
she
believe
saw
we're
the
looking
film.
at the Arizona.
Yes.
Okay. The ordnance is not supposed to be kept in the forecastle. They were keeping ordnance illegally in that area. So this is why the destruction was so complete for the Arizona.
Irene says she saw the film in the Air Force Military Theater.
Yeah. So half the total casualties of what took place that day came from the Arizona alone. Yeah, that's not considered a polite term nowadays, but that was the term they used at the time. Yeah, dive bombers. I doubt that tower fell over like that. Yeah, I'm sure the people there had the same reaction. Yeah, I think the army lost about 170 planes. There was something like 170 planes shot down on the ground, and FDR was really angry about that when he heard about that.
And Mikey Lito says recent generations put so much emphasis on 9/11 and mass shootings, rightly so. However, it's important to remember significant moments in our history. Certainly, Mikey Lito.
Well, yeah, because this got into Second World War, and the war was a transformative event for a lot of reasons, not just for America but the entire world. Everything changed after this. I believe this is the West Virginia that Dory Miller is on. That's not over dramatic. That actually happened. Dory Miller was at the captain's side when he died. I don't know how much time they would have spent trying to shoot people on the ground. Honestly, don't know.
Well, they're trying to destroy the air, like the tarmac, right? And
Yeah,
the
the attack came in two waves. The first wave hit the battleship row. The second wave started to hit the airfields. Yeah.
yeah.
There was supposed to be a third wave, but the third wave never took place. The third wave was supposed to hit the repair facilities, the oil storage facilities, the torpedo storage facilities. So because those areas and the repair station, so because those areas were left intact, they were able to go into repair right away. So there was no delay. If the third wave had taken place, they would have been much more difficult to recover from this. Why don't you get yourself into a plane? He's talking to Danny like Danny's his Batman or something. All right. So this is true. Dory Miller does get on this gun,
Oh my gosh.
and he does shoot down two planes.
Oh my goodness. I didn't know anything about this.
Yeah. So 29 planes were shot down. Dory Miller shot down two of them. Yeah, getting them away from the windows are probably. Target practice, really? Yeah, I didn't like that scene. There's enough. I don't need them to manufacture it like that. I believe that's the Oklahoma where they're showing.
Hmm.
Yeah, the Oklahoma did capsize like that. Yeah,
Oh my
those,
god.
yeah, those planes are flying way too low.
Yeah, look at this. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was a silly shot.
Yeah.
They look like they were trying to land. Oh man.
So I see what you're talking about right now, Darth Plato, that where they're dropping those torpedoes.
Yep. Yeah, the chain they made to the torpedoes would not have been is what made this possible. Yeah, what he's saying that's probably true. When a boat sinks in the water like that, it does create a like a whirlpool like effect. Maybe not a whirlpool, but it does it creates some sort of current in the water where it pulls you in. I read a similar story about what happened to the HMS Hood when the HMS Hood sank near Iceland. The people who were in the water near the ship they drowned because of what was happening to the water. Yeah, the whole thing lasted about an hour and 15 minutes.
It certainly is hard to watch these scenes.
But FDR is right though. They to allow such a large group to get this close to them, yeah, it's very silly. Another thing, the reason why so many planes were destroyed on the ground is because they were guarding. They were more concerned about sabotage because there was a high number of Japanese living on in Hawaii. They had an unusually large Japanese population, so they were concerned about sabotage. So all the planes were bunched together, really close together, so that it would be easier to have a perimeter around the plane to make sure some a-hole didn't go in there and sabotage the planes. And it just made it easier for the Japanese planes to bomb them on the ground. Yeah, they had to have been overwhelmed at the hospital.
Yeah, this just it's heartbreaking.
I think you have to do more than put your finger in there. You have to actually squeeze the artery. That can be done though. A severed artery can you can survive from that. So that was just the first wave. Jeez. Yeah. Good luck hitting with that shotgun. Yeah, you can actually see the Arizona Memorial in the movie, Mikey. When they first go there, you can actually see it in the distance. I don't know if that was intentional or if it was a slip, but you can see it.
Ugh, it's really hard to watch.
Yeah, I don't know how much time they would have spent actually shooting people on the ground since they were supposed to be hitting targets. And the more, mm, yeah, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I just don't know how much time they would have actually spent doing it. Or so you see the red and white checkered water tower. That's very common in military installations. There's an Air Force base near me. There used to be, and they had a tower that looked exactly like you could see it from the distance. The red and white checkered water tower.
And guys, we are at almost 2 hours. As Tom Jr. Jackson says, this film does fly by fast.
Yep. This movie is 3 hours long, and the entire attack was about 15 minutes.
Ugh. Yeah, Irene, I'm kind of liking this film. Oh. Michaelito, are you telling me that there's another shift in this film?
Yeah, yeah, there's really three films. So he's right. It does shift again.
Yeah, I didn't know this about this film at all.
Well, they certainly did damage from the ground. The 29 planes were shot down, and 74 were damaged. So they were certainly fighting back. Did you see how low that plane was? No way. Boom. Look how low that is. Three? Why would there be three? Did they even have radios on planes in those days? I don't even know.
I don't know. Maybe an emergency frequency or something like that, but maybe not as expansive as what we see.
apparently they did.
Yeah, Mikey Lito says almost the perfect time for Rafe to get revenge on Danny, but he's not thinking about that now. Also, the scene was a callback to the flying scene on Long Island and Mitchell Field.
Well, yeah, that would be pretty cold blooded revenge.
To take a total different tone to the film, then oh my gosh.
Yeah, angry about a girl is one thing. Murder is something else entirely.
Mm-hmm. Robert Collins says they did have radios only,
Yeah, they did.
VHF
Yeah,
only. Thank you, Robert Collins. Robert also mentioned that quite a few of the ships after the attack managed to go back into service just a
they
few
did.
short
Yes.
months after the attack.
Yeah, all the ships were repaired except for the Arizona. So the Oklahoma had capsized. They were able to restore the Oklahoma.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
The Oklahoma. Yeah, but the Arizona was a complete loss. That's a lot of clouds. Was there even that much cloud that day?
We're prepared to launch a third wave. We no longer have surprise. We will withdraw the third wave. That's quite a decision.
Yep. There was no. That's right. There was no third wave. Oh, come on. Yeah, Naguma was actually a pretty cautious commander. He didn't believe in this mission, and he was criticized for it by the Japanese. Yeah, I love this scene here. It's really graphic, sure, but it really shows how on a situation, people will ad hoc their way through it.
And
You
guys, we
use
are at two
whatever you
hours.
can, however you can.
Exactly. She has to triage.
Yeah, I guess someone has to do it. I mean, a nurse could probably do it. Seems like a doctor really should be doing this, though. Well, no one else does either.
Yeah, Mikey Lito. It would have been a very different outcome if they had done that third wave, Mikey Lito. I can't even imagine it. There probably wouldn't be anything left if they had continued.
There's no way to know. Look, people are really ingenious when you put their minds to it. I'm sure they would have figured out something, but the U.S. was able to get on their feet inside 6 months. But that's a different story, different movie.
And here's the soundtrack with Hans Zimmer. Certainly, very
Yeah.
profound soundtrack here.
It's not my favorite Hans Zimmer, but it's serviceable.
Well, this is more like a prayer, right, Darth Plato?
Hmm?
It's more like a prayer.
Yeah. What else is there? No, that's fault. He got the alert before the battle. But he was sacked, Admiral Kimmel. I think I'm slightly ahead of you. Yeah, I am slightly ahead of you. So Admiral
Are you
Kimmel was
each?
replaced by Admiral Nimitz.
Oh,
Hmm?
okay. No, no, no. I was just curious.
That's a great scene with Dory Miller. Dory Miller picking up the flag. Yeah, that. Yeah, the line there that by Yamamoto is not historically verified. That's a legend. It's attributed to him, but no one knows if he said it. Yamamoto was an interesting guy. He's a very astute guy. He had reservations about whether this would even work, and he said that for 6 months we'll have mobility in the Southwest Pacific, but after that he can guarantee nothing. Turns out he was right about that. He spent some time in the United States. He studied at Harvard, so he could speak English fluently. And we just hit the two, oh yeah, we're past 2 hours now.
Yeah, we are.
So that whole scene was about what 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was a decent amount of literally war footage. A
Yeah,
lot more than
that's a
what I
pretty
thought we would be getting.
sustained combat scene. Yeah, this I don't know about this scene might be overly dramatic. I mean, something like that did happen, but it may not happen quite like that. And that's the famous speech.
The day that will live in infamy.
The reason why he says the date that shall live in infamy, the infamy, what he's referring to there was a line that they really pushed in their PR, was that there was no declaration of war before the attack, and there was a diplomatic push for peace leading up to the last moment. That's why they're calling it infamous, because they were basically leading you to believe that there was a diplomatic way out when in fact there was not, and so they declared war, but they did it in the form of a sneak attack, and that's why they're calling it a day of infamy. And going to war without a declaration of war was especially forbidden by what's called the Hague Convention, which is a product of the lawyers, really. And that was the last time the U.S. ever declared war. It hadn't happened. They did. They did consider them inferior. He is not wrong about that. That's a BS line. Yeah, Jesus. Marshall would never have said that. Yes, yeah, there were hearings about this attack, about who to blame,
Mm-hmm.
and Admiral Kimmel and Admiral Stark were sacked. Yeah, I don't know about that. Interesting. They're playing the last post. I guess did taps not exist then?
That's
Well, yeah.
Thank you, Mikey Lito. The attack killed 2,403 U.S. personnel, including 68 civilians, and destroyed or damaged 19 U.S. Navy ships, including 8 battleships.
I've seen different figures, but 2,400 is a likely figure. 19 ships, 8 battleships. Yeah, 8 battleships were damaged, 4 were sunk, 3 were restored.
She can't leave on bad terms with either of them.
That's good. Yeah, you might be right. I need to deal with God.
Oh my God. Okay. Now, I'm not sure whether this is chick flick area. We know this stuff like this actually happens. So,
Oh, I'm sure.
so then why did you tell him? I don't understand.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
So she's going to marry one guy and be thinking of another one? Ouch.
Yep.
I can't.
Or at least that's how it's shaping up right now.
She has to leave on good terms with both of these guys because they don't deserve being in a situation where they, you know what I mean? Like she has to leave them in good spirits. Am I liking the tonal shifts? Yes, Mikey Lito, I am kind of liking this. She has to choose between these two guys. Maybe she has to. I can't. I can't even think about this right now. I can't. I'm sorry. It's they didn't have to do this in this film. I mean,
No,
it's
I don't
okay.
really like the tonal. Yeah, I didn't like the tonal shift. No.
I got to be honest with you, Mikey Lito. It's what happens in the tonal shift that is questionable. Because what she should have done was to cut it off with both of them. That's what she should have done at this point. But she almost can't because if she does that, then they'll be all upset and going out to war. It's not cool. Goodness gracious. Yeah, Chris, that is an understatement. She could have been with anybody, but did it have to be his best friend?
Hold on a second. He was the one being aggressive. He was
Fine.
the
You
one
know what?
knocking on
Guess
the door
what?
at 10:30.
It's okay for guys to be aggressive and ask you out, but it's your decision. Like if it's your boyfriend's best friend, maybe you might
Yes.
pass on that.
Yes.
Kayleen, I can't. I can't. I can't.
Yeah. Especially in those days. That was really looked down upon in those days. You could, I mean, sure. In those days, they could deny you a house. They could deny you um, all kinds of stuff on just on something like that.
Hmm. True, Mikey Lito. We certainly do understand that.
Hmm. He was declared dead. That's true. It's almost like everybody's in the wrong.
You know what? Let's. I'm not going to be. I'm not being judgmental of any of the characters in the story. It's a story. You know, I'm not judgmental of anybody.
No,
But she can't leave those guys
he's
in a bad
burning the
mood.
letters.
Hmm. She's got to do. She's got to do right by both of them. I don't know how, but she has to.
Mhm.
It's so uncomfortable. Like this is uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's why I call it a roast.
This is uncomfortable. Is it just? It's not just me. This is really uncomfortable.
Yes, he's burning. He's burning everything. What the hell is he doing? This very discussion.
And Robert says they thought he was dead and he was a common connection. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But
Yeah.
oh man. Ugh. Oh man, why'd you have to go there? And guys, we were at 2 hours and
He went
22
there.
minutes. into Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, they didn't need to go this deep. Yeah, look at it. We're 2 hours and 25 minutes into the movie, and they're going into another plot angle.
Hmm.
Yeah. And also, those guys were trained fighter pilots. Now they're being asked to fly bombers.
You know something?
That's
You're
a
right.
completely different kind of aircraft.
The film could have ended here. This could have been the end of it,
Yes,
and that we
yes,
didn't
yes.
know who she chose, and we also didn't know what the outcome of these two pilots
Yeah,
was going to
yeah.
be.
They look at the Doolittle raid is an interesting thing, but they really shouldn't have gotten into it.
Well, you know something, Tom Jr. Jackson? I have no words to even respond to this. Yeah, this is exactly it, Chris. Imagine coming back after they thought you were dead, then you find out your best friend got, well, this probably did happen. Things like this probably happened. But
Yeah, he came back from the dead only to die.
yeah, it's not a recommended position to find yourself in, ladies. That's all I'm going to say. A very compromising position. Yes, Tom, you certainly have left me speechless. I guess she felt she'd lost Rafe and she didn't want to lose the other guy. So she's like, I don't even care anymore what happens. I'm going to go for the relationship 100%. Maybe that's why she didn't use anything like kind of protection or anything. I don't know.
Oh, maybe if she did lose him, yeah. Well, yeah. At the time, yeah. I don't know. The whole thing seemed like a whirlwind
It is.
at the time.
This part feels like a completely different movie.
Yes, yes, it does.
This is, I don't know how do you guys in the chat feel? For me, 2 hours, 20 something minutes. This should have been the end of it. Feels like this is a different film altogether. I don't even know what I'm watching here. This is,
Yeah, they didn't need to show this. He really didn't. Michael Bay didn't. I don't know what Michael Bay was thinking.
I don't either. Get my drink here.
It would be like watching Titanic, and then in the final scene, you find out, oh, there's another 45 minutes of this movie.
Yeah. Yes. Fair enough, Mikey Lito. Fair enough. And it is during the war.
Hmm. They weren't at war at the time.
I mean, there's a world war going on, just not the United States, but there is a war going on.
I'm just, yeah, I know there'd be a wise guy. Well, that's the guy that had the shredded artery, and she was sticking her fingers in his neck.
And she saved him. Hello, Delta Ray Studio 3 says good evening. Oh, well, good evening to you, Delta Ray Studios, guys. We are watching the final 30 minutes of Pearl Harbor from 2001, a film that has many different feelings to it. And this last bit, well, after 2 hours and 20 days of our lives, this last bit does feel very disconnected from the first 2 hours and 20 minutes for me.
It's almost like he went ahead and did a sequel, told he couldn't do it, and so he just condensed it all into like 30 minutes and just stuck at the end of this movie.
And I don't feel, what's the word? I don't feel um like I need to see this half of the film.
Yeah, like
That's
I
something
said,
else that's very
yeah,
strange.
yeah. Like I said, it is an interesting event, but no, they didn't need to do this. The movie's already too long. An hour 45 minutes, 2 hours. That's how long a movie should be. I don't
It's
know.
almost like a military recruiting film. There's nothing stronger than the heart of a volunteer.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a volunteer only mission.
Well, Tom Spartoldi, get that AC fix. I hope the HVAC person comes by.
Yeah, Doodle did fly with them. That's true.
"45 old man." That's funny.
Compared to
Yes.
them,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, he is an old man.
He's old enough to be their dad. Um, yes, it is General Zod. Who knew he was there?
He was.
Yeah, he's one of the cast members earlier
Really?
on.
Hmm. You know, or the orphan Annie, what that's a reference to?
Yes.
Okay.
Michael Shannon. Thank you, Mikey Lito. Yeah, I think the film lost a lot of momentum with this part of the film on it. Um,
Yeah. Honestly, they should have just left. The last line of the movie should have been Yamamoto's line, which he didn't say. Pretty bold. That is true though. They launched early. They launched 12 hours sooner than they should have. So that did happen.
And it's interesting, the film goes by quite quickly for the first 2 hours and 20 minutes, and this part feels so disconnected.
Mm.
But,
It should have been a separate movie. It really should have. Like I said, this is an interesting event. They should have made it a separate movie.
agreed. And hello, El Nini. It's RM and Darth Plato here today, just the two of us and you guys in the chat. We're doing this live watch party of Pearl Harbor from 2001. We're in 2 hours and 30 minutes, pretty much at the final stretch. Good to see you.
Yeah, I'm not Robert. I don't have a cool shirt on.
Yeah, Mikey Little, that's a good point. That would have been interesting. Yeah, I do actually love Ben Affleck in this. And Josh Hartnett is great in this. I think the performances are great.
Yeah, I still think the best Pearl Harbor movie was Tora Tora Tora.
Agreed.
Which, by the way, was the code sign for they've achieved that the planes had achieved surprise.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's probably right about that. That's a really dangerous thing they're doing. Launching army bombers from a carrier. This had never been done before. So
And did this really
yeah,
happen, Darth Plato?
yeah, yes,
So how are they going to land?
they don't.
So it's a one-way trip.
Yes, it is. That's
And
why
this
it's a
really
volunteer only
happened?
mission.
And Darth Plato, this really happened.
Oh yes.
Okay.
So there is a certain symmetry there with the rest of the movie because the Japanese had did something that was very innovative and had never been done. Well, it had been done before, but not on the scale that the Japanese did it. The first people to do it were the British in the previous year against the Italian target of Toronto. So that was the first time an attack had been launched from a carrier against a target. Pearl Harbor was the second time, but it was a much larger scale action. But it was a very innovative thing. What they're doing here is also innovative. They somehow figured out how to ad hoc strip down a bomber to where it's literally a flying gas can and launch from a carrier.
Yeah, and Mike Alito mentions it is Fleet Week here in New York and Los Angeles. And Mike Alito, I didn't know that it was Fleet Week in LA as well. If you happen to be in Manhattan, Staten Island, or San Pedro, visit the ships and the men and the women of the United States Marines, Navy, and Coast Guard. Certainly something to look forward to. I love Fleet Week, Mikey Lido. I had no idea it also took place in Los Angeles. Thanks for letting me know, Mikey Lido. And Robert Collins says, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Robert Collins says the plan was to ditch in China. I didn't know that.
Yes, they were yeah, they were supposed to ditch, but not land property, not return to ship to base.
Okay, because when he was telling when the Alec Baldwin character was telling the pilots that, I thought that was a hypothetical situation, not realizing that that was the reality of their situation.
Yes, that's the reality situation. Yeah, and because they launched early, that means there's a distinct possibility that they may not even reach China.
Oh my gosh!
Because remember, when they reach Japan, Japan is not. If you look at a map, due west of Japan is actually Korea. So in order for them to hit Japan, they have to start flying southwest and make for China. They can't land in Korea because Korea has been occupied by the Japanese since 1910. So they have to fly a long way. Yeah, another angle that you don't hear a lot about the Pearl Harbor attack is the aftermath, is the chaos that happened in California. There was madness all across the state of California after that attack. The San Francisco and Los Angeles were completely blacked out. People were driving around at night with no lights on, with the city blacked out. It's an unwise thing to do. There was people were very twitchy about the possibility of an attack on the West Coast. There was more than once there was a false alarm. There was a really bad incident in near Los Angeles where an attack was announced and there wasn't one, but it caused a lot of hysteria because of it. The that angle, what happened in L.A., became the subject of a sci-fi novel and a more recently a movie some years ago called Battle of Los Angeles, the attack that never happened. But there was all kind of nutty stuff going on like in San Francisco. There were people on the radio announcing all kinds of weird, like, oh, I see Japanese near San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge. The Japanese parachuting onto Market Street. There were people running around San Francisco with 2x4s looking for Japanese to beat up. There was all kinds of chaos in the immediate aftermath of the Pearl Harbor. 1941, yeah, that was a year, 1941.
And guys, we are in the
Pearl
final
Harbor,
20 minutes or so
the
of this
German.
film, which has been
Yeah.
actually a good watch with all of you, to be honest. So great hearing all of your comments. Absolutely, guys. We do have merchandise at the PGS. You should check that out here on the channel. You can also join and become a member of the PGS for as low as 99 cents a month. And then you can go to our member only Zoom calls, which happen twice a month, guys.
I don't like how they depicted General Marshall in this movie. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, the guy who made that report, I don't think that would have been Marshall who made that report. That probably would have been Admiral Leahy, because Leahy was FDR's personal military advisor, and he was always with the president practically all time, unless he was in bed, he was standing there the whole time. So if anybody made that report, it would have been Leahy.
Yeah, Thomas Bartoldi. This is why we do it. Thomas says he enjoyed watching this with a group of people. It's more entertaining. It certainly was, wasn't it, Thomas? Certainly learned a lot, got a lot of experiences and things from all of you contributing. I just felt like this was an important film to look at with the upcoming Memorial Day. And thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody for making comments.
Mhm.
So I can't have a third window up because it slogs everything down too much. So I had to get out of the YouTube.
Okay. I'm glad the HVAC is fixed.
Hmm. Safe? I don't know about safe.
This is insane.
Yeah, I wish I knew where in China they were because there was a considerable Japanese presence in China.
This is insane. Like, this is an insane mission. Like, I can't even imagine this.
Land in the rice paddy.
I had no idea this even happened. Oh my goodness. Yeah, absolutely. Linwood Kent, it is a real suicide mission. Had no idea this even happened.
There were, as far as I know, there was only 3 fatalities. That was a bit overdramatic there. It just happened to be flying over them. Looks like something out. It looks like something out of the Mandalorian.
Mhm. And this is honestly true, Mikey Lito. This is actually true.
Stop it. Yeah, but could you say the same thing about the Titanic?
No. Ah. Oh my goodness, this film. Darth Plato, I just
So
can't.
does this count? Yeah. Does this count as another tonal change?
Yes. I can't take this. Gosh. I can't. I just can't. I'm sorry.
Do you think do you yeah do you think it's actually worse that that Rafe said that?
No, it's
Okay.
I don't even know what to think because
Okay.
he's telling him something right before he's about to die that hey, you can't die because you're going to be a dad, and then it's like then he has an internal conflict. But
Mm.
I think what they could have been saying stuff was like, I know you fell in love with her, and I know it's not your fault. How about something like that? I still value you as a friend. I love you, man.
Well, that would have made sense though.
Stavros says, damn it all. Stavros. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Damn it all to hell. Yeah.
yeah, that, well, yeah, they didn't have to show this either.
Yeah. I don't know if they would have showed it like that. Well, like I said,
Yeah,
three men did die in that mission, but I believe they were executed.
yeah, that, how about that, Thomas? Or I know you love her. I just want to be your friend because, man, I love you too as a friend. That would have been great. But maybe not a good time to start talking about babies, you know?
That's exactly what I was trying to get at. Maybe that wasn't the best way to go about that.
I also don't like the wrap up here.
Yes.
Tom, I have no words for this.
Yeah. And then you know
If
why I
they
call it a
wanted
roast.
a miniseries, they could have made a miniseries. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, the Arizona. Yeah, the Arizona was the flagship of the American fleet when it went to World War One.
I love you, man. Thank you, Tom. That's all we needed to hear, as far as I'm
Look
concerned.
at this ending. I love you, man. I guess you're not gonna be needing shoes no more.
Why, Thomas? Why? Thomas.
So what? They went to live in a barn.
All right. All right. Phew.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
are
I don't care
past
for this
4.
part at all.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry, Darth
we're about 5. Yeah, we actually got that done before 5.
Yeah. And thank you, Mikey Lito, for the kind words. Says, well, thanks to the viewers of Positive Fandom and the Burnett Network for making this an enjoyable. Yeah, it was enjoyable. It was fun watching this. I have to say, I didn't know how I was going to feel about this film or what to make of it. It was such a different experience. But to be honest with you, at the end of the day, um, it is a film about Pearl Harbor. And I think it'd be interesting. Thomas, I can't even go there. It is a film about Pearl Harbor, and I'm so glad that we got a chance to watch this film, Darth Plato. It certainly is an involved film. It's not sort of a simple 5 minute thing. We've talked about it through the whole film. As I said, it felt like that third part, I guess, was not really part of the film. They wanted to include it for some reason. Maybe it was part of the contract. He had to include that in the movie. And as you said, maybe he said, "Oh no, I'm still going to include everything else I want to include," and ends up being uh, 3 hours long. But I don't regret watching it. I don't regret watching it. I think that it was worthwhile making it. And honestly, the love story in the beginning was good. Maybe just could have been placed differently. Done things a little differently. I'm not going to say it's a complete failure. I would say I'd give it like a 7, only because of those shifts were so you could really feel that it didn't have that flow. So it's like it shifted out of something to another. And I've never really watched a film that had shifts like that. I really don't even think
I
I've
don't
ever
think I
seen
have
it.
either.
What about you, Darth Plato?
Well, the way I look at it, it's Michael Bay's attempt to recreate Titanic, and instead it went down like the Titanic.
Well, yeah, maybe it did. However, the battle scenes were certainly uh, maybe the best part of the film, I think, and did a good job of showing the action.
Reasonably so. I agree that they maybe not focus on those two guys so much, because there was the Dory Miller part was good. There were a lot more people than that were trying to get into the air than just those two guys. Rafe and his Batman. Uh, it was effective. I'm not going to deny that. It was
Um,
it was interesting to be able to get in my commentary about what was going on at that time, and what that it's. So there's a lot of misunderstanding about that event.
yeah, and I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad we picked this film. It did feel very different watching it with all of you who are here as well, and getting your opinions about the film and what type of experience it was going to be. But I just want to say I'm glad we watched it. And as I said, Memorial Day is coming up. So that was, the main reason why we were bringing this film up and felt it was important to do that. And Michael Leader, you already mentioned Fleet Week. It is Memorial Weekend coming up. Um, and we did want to focus on a film that focused on military personnel. So this was something that I thought was important, certainly, although it may not be historically accurate. I think for cinematic value and to bring attention to an event that clearly was had such an event, changed history more or less. I think it does its job, but there are going to be discrepancies in it, and this romance they felt they had to add in there. Yeah, it was fun watching with you too, Thomas. Any last words on the film, Darth Plato?
Oh boy. Hashtag Pearl Harbor 2. The hype starts now.
Oh my gosh. Hey, and Steven Cesardo's film Engaging Lagosphere.
Yes,
Hey,
that is
Steven
a better movie. Yes.
says Tora Tora Tora, you guys should watch also. Hey guys. Well, hey, Steven. Thank you for the suggestion. Maybe we will do Tora Tora
But,
Tora.
but remember, part of the reason why I wanted to do this movie isn't because I think it's the best Pearl Harbor movie out there. It's because I love roasting this movie.
Well, I do want to mention that although it did feel quite disjointed in the beginning, I loved the chick flick element of this. It was total chick flick. She was making love to him in a freaking parachute. She was in the car. They were at the beach. I mean, it was everything that a girl could want and more. And it was actually really nice romance she had with Ben Affleck. Although they didn't take it all the way, it still was also very good. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not judging these characters. I think things could have gone a little different, but it's how it worked out. So there is that. But I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you, Tom B. Jackson, moderator, collaborator, and friend, here for this 3 hour live stream where we've just looked at Pearl Harbor, the 2001 movie here. It was such a pleasure seeing all of you here. Jeff Plato, where can people find you?
You can find me right here on the It Show, the Positive Fandom, and the Bird Network. And I believe it's time for Maria's show.
I think hers is at what time is her show, Tom Jr. Jackson? Can you please tell me, Tom Jr. Jackson? Is it now? It says it's 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time here. I think hers was
Yes.
at 9. But
Yeah, I think it's live now.
um, maybe Tom can pull that up, guys. You want to go over to oh gee, this is terrible. You want to go to After the Sequels, and absolutely tune into the stream that's going on there. It's going to be great, guys. Maria Espino on her channel is going to be talking about these fan films she's going to be making. But guys, you can always find me here on Positive Fandom as well as on the Burr Network. I so enjoyed all of you making your comments and sharing your thoughts about the film, about, well, just pretty much everything related to the film. And just thank you for supporting the channel. Like I said, Darth Plato and I feel it's very important to continue and to review historical films like this. And maybe we will do Tora one of these days, Darth Plato. We shall see. Okay. What?
Well, another reason why I wanted to do this movie.
It is at 9. It's at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Okay, so it's in an hour, guys. Okay. So you have some time. What were you going to say?
So one of the reasons why I wanted to do a movie about Pearl Harbor, not necessarily this particular movie, but about the start of the war, is because Oppenheimer's coming up.
Yes.
And Oppenheimer deals with the end of the war.
Okay.
So I thought that there was a certain theme there that I thought we could follow.
Okay. I do enjoy that. Thank you very much for bringing that to my attention.
World War II is not really my thing, but still.
We are going to be reviewing Oppenheimer here on the Burr Network and on Positive Fandom. So you will find us here talking about what's going to be one of the biggest and most important. Yes, Mikey Lito, it is synergistic. One of the most important movies coming out this year, Oppenheimer. And I love the guy who stars in that film. That's Kiernan's.
We will watch it before we start talking about it. Watch content, form opinion.
Absolutely, we're going to do that. And guys, just so you know, check out Maria's Espino's channel, After the Sequels. This is the link. It's in the chat. Make sure you go to that in an hour. It's going to be great. Thank you so much, Thomas Bertholdi. Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I want to thank you all for supporting us. You got it. And guys, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. It was an experience that I didn't know it was going to be like this, watching it together with you all, but it was very different watching it together and talking, this interaction that we had, talking about the film. As I said, it's a chick flick in the beginning, and then it changes, and then it changes again, and then again. So certainly something to think about. And guys, thank you for the support. And remember, guys, yes, absolutely. No matter where you are, okay, in the galaxy, always remember.
Yeah, we're all channeling our inner Michaelito here.
That's right. We are channeling our inner Michaelito. Remember, watch content, form opinion. Live long and prosper. And guys, no matter where you are in the galaxy, always remember to please be kind. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Paleta Amiki.